With Disney CEO Bob Iger in a constant state of panic, not just for the brands like Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, etc., but it also has a lot to do with the Disney live-action department and how they adapted many animated classics out there that date back decades, right? We're talking about movies that were actually well known throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and so on and so forth. However, focusing on everything in between here when it comes to Bob Iger, we know that the Fantastic Four box office disaster was pretty much a very serious situation for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, for Marvel Studios, and of course for Bob Iger and Kevin Feige and how people view them now. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about Snow White is that we know that those out there like Gal Gadot, she came forward about it being a box office disaster and how in the end, it just didn't work out for her in the long run. And we know one thing about Rachel Zegler is that the minute that she actually dragged her very own politics on social media and mixed it with the marketing campaign and promoting this movie just about a month or a month and a half prior to the release of this thing, that also created a lot of chaos over at Disney, a lot of chaos between Bob Iger and the many creatives on board of Snow White. We know that Mark Webb got a bad reputation for this film, and one thing is actually very much crucial to all of this is that now we have Disney CEO Bob Iger going into damage control mode again. After months of remaining silent about Snow White, he's actually starting it up yet again. Let's get into this. Now, one thing about Bob Iger is that he always does like to lie. That's why I like to call him Bob Liger all the time. However, with Disney CEO Bob Iger endlessly engaging in damage control for all the Disney brands, ranging from Marvel, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, Pixar, etc. However, one major development going on now involves more to do with Bob Iger's response to Rachel Zegler and the Snow White box office situation. Now, Iger delivered the following. One thing I would like to address as CEO of the Walt Disney Company and the many properties and business models that we do manage here, in regards to our latest live-action remake of an animated classic, Snow White, we believe that one mistake, one mishap on our end, was by allowing our talent that served as our lead actress to mix sensitive political issues with a film that should have remained strictly connected to entertaining and promoting a valuable character. That dates back decades. In regards to Ms. Zegler's political statement are something that we never authorized and never allowed, and it is indeed something that created a stir-up here at the Disney Company on who we hire to present our characters in our many brands. We believe that Ms. Zegler's statement went way too far for the Disney Company, and we had to take action appropriately to raise awareness to the situation and to let both our customers and shareholders know that this is not the face of the Disney Company and not what we allow to be done on social media platforms. As for the future of Snow White, I would like to announce that we are looking into possibilities of how we could rebuild the character into something new and something inspired from the classic Brothers Grimm tales. However, nothing concrete is currently in form right now, but it is something that we are looking over. As for Ms. Zegler, who represented this film, we do not advocate such political issues, especially when promoting a product as large as Snow White. As for the film's financial situation and status, had it not been for the political tangles that we dealt with, we firmly believe that we would have stored one of our greatest successful films in many years. I am here to confidently say that if there was more control, if things were more organized for us here at the Disney Company, for this valuable property, everything would have turned out a different way. And it's a mistake that we don't intend to make again for a future live-action adapted film based on an animated classic. Now guys, let me say one thing here. I'm trying to read between the lines when it comes to Bob Iger, because he can call out Rachel Zegler, he can basically humiliate her by really stating the obvious here that what she did was unacceptable behavior, and that they basically do not want to deal with her ever again. He's saying it in a very indirect, professional, I guess you could say nicer way. But one thing is really certain here is that basically what he's saying is that we got rid of one, but we're keeping another. He's allowing Pedro Pascal, or I like to call him Pedro Zegler, he's allowing Pedro Pascal to make such political comments, political statements when promoting the Fantastic Four, even after the Fantastic Four's theatrical run, because pretty much now it's diminishing, it's making its way out of theaters at a rapid rate, And the fact that you can allow one person to make political comments that are very toxic and allow another person to actually spew toxic political propaganda is hypocritical in nature. He's being a hypocrite here. And if you read between the lines, he's saying that we won't allow this to happen again for a future Disney live-action film based on an animated classics. So does that mean that either Bob Iger's just outright lying, or is he basically just saying, yeah, I mean, we're not going to allow this to happen just in the Disney live-action department, but we're going to allow it to happen with Marvel, Star Wars, and so on and so forth, things like Pixar, etc. Who knows? Bob Iger is a liar at the end of the day. He will say whatever he has to say to please the shareholders, only, and I mean only in the moment, to kind of spark any kind of interest in the future of the Disney company, right? And he's going to do this as long as he remains as CEO until he steps down next year. Moving on, he continues, many times when you have new talent, it's all about testing the waters with the audience and common moviegoers, and it can be a very challenging process to do such things when politics get involved. As we begin to focus on the future of Marvel, Star Wars, and our live-action films that will remake the animated classics, we aim to present ourselves better with our live-action products, and that adapt the animated characters many Disney customers grew up with decades ago. We hope to never make the same mistake again, looking back at how we marketed a well-known Disney princess and the transition of bringing her to live action. So again, I mean, obviously Bob Iger's stumbling upon his words there. He doesn't really quite know how to deliver an apology, or to say that, yeah, what we did was completely wrong and out of line. He could have just made it very more direct in that sense. But again, at the same exact time, yeah, I mean, he's throwing Rachel Zegler under the bus. There's no doubt about that. He's trying to cover his own self here based on what he did, based on who he hired, who he allowed to be the face of Snow White 2025. And we all know that Rachel Zegler essentially tore down the future of Disney live-action remakes. I think that nobody's really interested in Hercules or, you know, the Sword and the Stone remake, or all these different remakes. And many of them have been canceled, have been slashed, by the way. I know that the Notre Dame film is not happening at all. That's pretty much stagnant at this point in time in 2025. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about Snow White in general, because we know that this movie was a box office disaster. It really did not work at all. And look, when you're looking at movies like, for example, Sword and the Stone, Hercules, Notre Dame, those movies need to be well respected once they do, or if they do, get adapted into live action form. Nobody wants race swapped characters. Nobody wants a forced political agenda or political propaganda being used in their marketing campaign. And again, Bob Iger is, I think, doing a very poor job apologizing to the public, but he's damn well making it sure that it's going to be well known to the public that he's throwing Rachel Zegler under the bus, essentially. Overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about that below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.